and confused is fake news.
Come on, son.
Good evening, folks, and happy Tuesday. Blazed and confused here with another wild and wacky news report. I've got two stories for you today, as usual. Both of them happen to involve rabies and people getting attacked by animals in one fashion or another. I don't know if the rabies are spreading or if these two people are just extremely unlucky. But we're going to dive right into it. Not sure who this guy is. I can't get rid of him, though. This story is brought to us by WJCL 22 ABC. Tina Maggio. We appreciate you, Tina Maggio. Woman attacked by rabid bobcat on Jekyll Island. Investigators say the woman was at a mini golf course when the bobcat suddenly charged and latched onto her leg. That doesn't sound fun at all. Jekyll Island, Georgia. A terrifying scene unfolded Sunday on Jekyll Island when a woman was attacked by a rabid bobcat in front of families at the island's miniature golf course. Investigators say the woman was walking between holes at Jekyll Island miniature golf when the bobcat suddenly charged and latched on to her leg. Families nearby ran for cover, but one man ran towards the danger. Not this man. I would have been probably ducked and covered with the families.
Come on, son.
But let's hear him out. Joshua Thornton said he heard a scream and saw the attack happening right in front of him. I assumed it was like a pet or something misbehaving. But, after looking a little harder, I saw that she was getting attacked by something, Thornton said. Thornton said he didn't hesitate to jump in.
You got to be bat shit crazy.
You're a braver man than me, Joshua Thornton. I ran and helped her, and I got the animal off of her and, got to shoo it away. Shoo, bobcat. And, trying to contain a little bit. But then I made sure, everybody was off the golf course, Thornton said. Well said at that, too, Thornton. Jekyll Island officials confirmed the bobcat was killed after the attack. The woman suffered bite marks and scratches to her legs and drove herself to the hospital for treatment. Atta girl. Drove herself to the hospital. I can get behind that. Thornton said the animal's behavior was unlike anything he's seen on the island. Thornton, you thought it was a pet. So I digress. I never seen one attack somebody. That was wild. I mean, he was definitely trying to kill something, Thornton said. Yeah, man, he was trying to kill that woman that drove herself to the hospital while you're sticking around for interviews with the Tia, whatever her name was. Bobcats are commonly spotted on Jekyll Island. Residents often share videos of them roaming in yards, but officials say this incident is unprecedented. In a statement, Jekyll Island Authority said, "This person did not provoke the bobcat or do anything to cause the injuries that occurred. Incidents like this are extremely rare, and there is no immediate threat to the general public." Not now. I guess not now. They're not. Maybe unless there's a bunch of other bobcats out there with rabies, as we're going to get into. The Glenn County Health Department confirmed the bobcat tested positive for rabies, a potentially deadly virus. They say unprovoked aggression is one of the key warning signs. For an animal to randomly attack somebody, that's definitely not normal. There was definitely some There was definitely some abnormal, Thornton said. Yeah, I mean, we already did a deer story where, they said the same thing. They said almost the exact same thing.
It's fake news!
For an animal to randomly attack somebody, that's definitely not normal. I don't know. Unless you're out in the woods, say you come across a bear or a bobcat or mountain lion, something like that. I've seen some pretty shady squirrels in my day that I wasn't sure if I needed to worry about. Anyway, the woman has been advised to receive treatment for rabies exposure. Officials are urging the public to avoid unnecessary interaction with wildlife, keep pets vaccinated and supervised, and report any unusual and aggressive animal behavior immediately. Yeah, man, that would really suck. Trying to play a little miniature golf, enjoy yourself out there on Jekyll Island, and here comes a bobcat latching onto your leg there. I would have to say that's got to be, I would say 1 in a million, but we're going to read about another story here in a minute about rabies and animals and attacks that seem like they're not supposed to happen, but they do happen. I'm not exactly sure what the moral of this story is. I think if Mr. Thornton here would have gotten bit by that bobcat, maybe my advice to him would be mind your own business, Thornton. Duck for cover with the rest of the families. That way you don't end up having to get treatment for rabies, just like the lady who drove herself to the hospital after she was attacked by a bobcat. That's pretty tough. That's got to be in like the top 5 toughest women I know. Get attacked by a bobcat that has rabies, drive yourself to the hospital. Well, Mr. Thornton here shooed it away, and then went ahead and did some interviews with Tia Maggio. Maybe I'd probably stick around and do an interview with Tia Maggio. But anyway, that is story number 1. We are going to get into story number 2 here very shortly. I actually got this from one of my followers. Appreciate you, Jeff. Man dies of rabies after kidney transplant from donor who saved kitten from a skunk. You gotta admit, folks, that sounds pretty interesting. Stick around. We're going to get to story number 2 in just a moment.
Blazed and confused is fake news!
Come on, son.
All right, folks, welcome back to story number 2 here. My buddy Jeff definitely brought me an interesting one, that is for sure. Hang in there, because it gets a little confusing. And I'm going to probably say a bunch of these words absolutely wrong. So hang with me here. Man dies of rabies after kidney transplant from donor who saved kitten from skunk. Michigan man received kidney transplant from a donor who had fought off a skunk and was later found unresponsive. So the man who fought off the skunk was later found unresponsive. A Michigan man has died of rabies after receiving a kidney from another man who died of the disease when he was scratched by a skunk while defending a kitten in what officials are describing as an unexceptionally rare event. That is not a rare event for my dogs to go absolutely ballistic for no reason. So bear with me for a second. Yes, I would say that is definitely an exceptionally rare event. According to a recent report from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the Michigan patient received a kidney transplant at an Ohio hospital in December 2024. Around 5 weeks later, he began experiencing tremors, low extremity weakness, confusion, and urinary inconsistence. He was soon hospitalized and ventilated, then died. Post-mortem testing confirmed rabies, the CDC report said, baffling authorities because the recipient's family had said he had not had any exposure to animals. Doctors then reviewed records about the kidney donor, a man in Idaho, and discovered that in the donor risk assessment interview questionnaire, he said he had been scratched by a skunk. When asked, the family explained that a couple of months before, in October, while he was holding a kitten in a shed on his country property, a skunk approached, showing predatory aggression towards the kitten. So this guy's holding the kitten. Here comes the skunk. Skunk gets aggressive. The man fought off the animal in an encounter that reports say rendered the skunk unconscious. So he thumped the skunk pretty good, but not before the man received a shin scratch that bled, although he did not think he had been bitten. 5 weeks later, a family member said he became confused, had difficulty swallowing and walking, experienced hallucinations, and had a stiff neck. 2 days later, he was found unresponsive at home after a presumed cardiac arrest. Although he was resurrected and hospitalized, he never regained consciousness, and after several days was declared brain dead and removed from life support. The report states that several of his organs, including his left kidney, were donated. Woo, folks, that is a mouthful. And just to kind of recap, a man in Michigan gets a kidney from a donor. The donor happens to be a guy who was scratched by a skunk that had rabies while defending a kitten. It later then came back to kill the man that received the kidney. There go my dogs again. Sorry. So anyway, I kind of went down back through this story, and somehow or another, they were unable to detect the rabies when they were testing these organs before they were handed off to be donated. And somehow it got missed because it's such a rarity that they don't really have anything that necessarily can test correctly to tell you if maybe a kidney has some form of rabies in it. Something like that. That's the short story without me getting into all these words I can't say. But apparently there were a couple people that received cornea grafts from the same donor. Authorities immediately removed the grafts and administered post-exposure prophylaxis. See what I mean? Prophylaxis to prevent infection. The 3 people remained asymptomatic, the report says. So apparently 3 other people had received cornea grafts, whatever that is. That's got to be one of the craziest stories I maybe ever heard, that some guy got a kidney from somebody else and he ended up getting rabies and it unalived him. That is pretty wild. I don't know exactly what the moral of that story is, except maybe we need to get better testing to make sure we're not passing on organs to other folks that may contain rabies. And maybe, I don't know, maybe, just maybe, you throw the kitten, hope the skunk goes after it, and you run for your lives. I'm just kidding. That's horrible. You got to laugh so you don't cry. But I appreciate you guys tuning in here for these 2 stories. Be safe out there, folks. Skunks, bobcats, deer. We've just gone through pretty much the whole animal kingdom and realized that they're pretty much dangerous. So you guys stay safe out there. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we will catch you next time.
Blazed and confused is